What's going on, guys? Multiverse Corrupt here with yet another action figure review video, and today we are having a look at McFarlane Toys, the Arkham Knight. As always, guys, starting off this video, we of course are taking a look at the McFarlane packaging, and of course, as always, it has the beautiful open face window with DC Multiverse and the Arkham Knight down here at the bottom. See the figure inside and the content it comes with. Flipping over here to the side, it does say the Arkham Knight from the video game Batman Arkham Knight. And then going over here to the back is a fantastic product image of this figure at night. But I will say I do have some gripes with this particular photo. This photo kind of really does point out that he is just straight plastic, just solid black plastic and dark gray. There's really no finesse that comes with it that kind of makes him his own, but we'll get into that with the figure. Hopefully in hand is a little different from this photo. Going over here to the other side, guys, nothing really going on other than DC Multiverse and the Arkham Knight down here at the side, and then nothing really going on the top. And then on the bottom is that fantastic barcode that you guys love so much. With all that said though, guys, let's go ahead and rip the Arkham Knight out of the packaging and see how he looks. Besides the discovery of a militia training facility in South America, virtually nothing is known of the Arkham Knight until his arrival in Gotham City, where he has quickly earned himself a fearless reputation amongst the city's leading criminals. Working together with Scarecrow, he has sworn to destroy Batman and will stop at nothing until he is defeated. So right here, guys, is the Arkham Knight standing straight up and down on the rotating turntable, and I will say, with first-hand impressions in terms of paint, I am a little disappointed. It is just solid black plastic and dark gray paint. There's really nothing else going on other than, of course, the Arkham logos throughout his uniform, on his shoulders and on his chest plate. Other than that, there's no red pants or red and black pants that he wears from the video game. There's no blue visor that's on his face from the blue neon light that's literally shining on his mask. They just painted his eyes and his chest marks, and that was about it. So I will say I am very disappointed on that front. It just feels lazy to me. I understand they want him to be as stealthy as the Dark Knight himself, but the Arkham Knight made a big impression inside that video game against the Dark Knight. So I would say that the Arkham Knight should get just as much love and detail in terms of paint that we see with Batman figures. With all that said though, guys, let's go ahead and get the Arkham Knight off of the rotating turntable and check out the accessories that he comes with. Now, in terms of accessories, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the McFarlane stand. We've seen this one time and time again. It does have the DC logo just stamped right there on the front and the foot peg off to the side. See it with almost every single McFarlane toy, and it is just the same. Going over here to the trading card, this is the same image from the back of the box. It still looks nice, but it is not one of the photos that we see with the other figures that scream, "Pick me up now, take me home." It's just not one of those. It's not really doing it for me. It's just really him standing there with the night sky in the background. Nothing really screaming, "Pick me up, I'm a must get." Flipping over here to the back though, guys, we do have the read up, so you can pause the screen and read it right now. Always give you guys that little second, and I do think it is funny that they put real name unknown when we know by the very end of the game, spoilers if you didn't know, that the Arkham Knight is really Jason Todd in his first new identity before in this universe he becomes the Red Hood. In terms of his accessories, he comes with the bare minimum. He comes with this very detailed back claw, and he comes with these two little flash grenades. And they are detailed as well, but for the very little piece that they are. They've just got kind of the mechanism up top. With all that said though, guys, let's go ahead and get the accessories out here and get the Arkham Knight back in the spotlight and see that detail. When it comes to the detail, guys, of this figure, I will say I am a little disappointed. I do like the idea that they went with. They gave him as many straps as they could, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But it just feels kind of lackluster compared to the other McFarlane toys that we have seen all the way up till this point. Going ahead, starting with the face sculpt, is just very bland to me. There's no blue paint to highlight his visor or anything like that. His eyes are not even on either side. This one, if you look at it straight on, droops down way farther than this one does. And it is just flat. There is no detail. There's no significant dents within this face sculpt at all, except for when it comes out to the point for, I'm guessing, where his nose is supposed to go on the helmet. But if that was the case, why is it all the way up here? That would put his eyes up here. So it just doesn't really make sense to me. I do like what they kind of did with the Arkham Knight / bat ears that he's got going on. But to me, it also just feels like they just slapped an imaginary chunk of metal on the side of his face and not actually molded it into the plastic. It's just kind of laid over the top of his visor. So I am a little disappointed on the face sculpt as well. Going down here to the chest plate, his chest plate just to me looks horrendous, and that's just my opinion alone. His chest plate right here just looks like he has two random chunks of metal glued to his chest that connect to nothing. Like, what do those even go to? If you would ask me, I would have just gave him the standard chest plating that looks like a solid pec and then just called it a day. But they put this little gash right here in the middle of both sides. It just looks like a random piece of metal is just shoved onto his armor. When you get down to the logo is really solid. The paint is really good. I do dig the logo. It's the classic Arkham logo that we've seen, especially the first time we're seeing it was in Arkham Asylum. It is a great callback. I love it. It is fantastic. I will give it that. But another thing that bothers me, and we'll see it more in Articulation, especially if you lean him back here, you can literally grab this little flap here and lift it up, and it just looks like he is wearing a straitjacket underneath. I get it, you're the Arkham Knight, but you're not an Arkham escaped patient. I don't understand that portion of him. Going down here to the crotch and the legs, I will say this is where the detail kind of took over and kind of helps this figure as much as it can. They really did give him as many straps as they could. Nice little pouch over here on the side, some smoke grenades on his thigh, and then he does have a kind of utility belt going on around on the side over here. A little bit of extra pouches going over here to the side, although I don't know what he would put in there. He doesn't really have like batarangs or anything like that, or at least from what I remember from the video game, I don't remember the Arkham Knight throwing batarangs at me, so I'm not really sure what his contents are in his utility belt, but I digress on the subject. Now his pants alone. Like I said before, there is no red and black pattern that we've seen from the video game. Right here is a picture from the video game, and as you can just see, there is so much more color into the Arkham Knight, and the silver is very highlighted on the picture compared to the figure itself. It is just dark gray and black plastic. There's nothing else really going on here. But like I was saying about the pants, they really did give it detail within his pants. They gave him a pattern for his trousers, but other than that, nothing else really going on here. Going down here to his shin guards, now they also went all out on his shin guards as well. They kind of give me the Batman, the new Arkham Knight shin guards look that we saw when Batman does his famous suit up scene from the video game, but that's all that kind of looks like to me. And they really did do some love when it comes to his shin guards. I just wish that same amount of love went to the rest of the figure's detail up here on the front. Flipping over here to the back, as you can tell, it is very lackluster as well. They literally started doing, I'm guessing, the same as they were up here, but then they just left it as kind of a back plate to protect his neck area and his motorcycle jacket flap, and then the rest is just molded into the figure itself. There is no defining details that really stand out to me on the back. It is literally just wrinkles and this little spine shield going on back here, but that's about it. There's really nothing going on with this figure that really stands out to me. It's just kind of bland and just kind of there. It's just kind of sitting on my shelf, and it's not really an eye grabber. It's not like, ooh, that's a great Arkham Knight figure. That's they could have done a little bit better. With all that said though, guys, let's go ahead and check out his size and articulation. When it comes to how tall this figure stands, guys, the Arkham Knight does stand at about the typical 7-inch scale. Actually, just slightly taller than the 7-inch scale. But I will round it down to... In terms of articulation, guys, let's go ahead and pull the Arkham Knight closer to the camera again. Starting off with the head. He can look all the way up and all the way down, and it is on a ball joint, so the Arkham Knight's head does tilt side to side and rotates all the way around. In terms of the arm articulation, guys, his arm does go up about that far. Nothing really special due to his Arkham Knight shoulder pads being right here, and they are in the way. His arm does rotate all the way around, and he does have a bicep swivel as well. double hinged at the elbows, and his wrist is on a hinge and peg, but due to these massive gauntlets, it is a pain to move. You can rotate him back and forth, but in terms of tilt, you only get about that much. In terms of his ab articulation, there is nothing going forward, but going back, he can go back about that far, but there is that little flap I was talking about that does get on my nerves. His waist articulation, he can rotate all the way around, but mine is very tough right now. I haven't soaked him in hot water, so he is a little stiff. For his legs do kick out about that far. They kick back about that far, and it is the famous McFarlane crotch gap going on here. But they do kick out sideways fairly well, getting a good ninja kick for the Arkham Knight. And his knees are on a double hinged as well. And his ankles, a little thing about his ankles is they are looser than ever. They are just slap them and they move, both of them. So it is a little bit of a nuisance to get him to stand up. And it is the old school McFarlane Toys ball joint just sticking out right here. In terms of toe articulation, his toes do articulate up, and he does have a wonderful ankle pivot as well. Will that save this figure in the review? Most likely not. When it comes to the size comparison, guys, here we have the Arkham Knight next to Batman from the video game Arkham Asylum. And this Batman is a little bit taller, but I do feel like that is my fault. I do think the original will be standing head to head, toe to toe with the Arkham Knight. But I did a slight custom on this one. I gave him a different pair of Batman legs and crotch piece. So with that, these legs might be a little bit taller. And then, of course, right here, guys, is the Arkham Knight next to the Arkham Asylum Joker. The Joker also being a little bit taller than the Arkham Knight. So maybe it is the Arkham Asylum figures. Maybe it's not the slight customization that I did with the different Batman legs. Maybe just the Arkham Asylum ones are just slightly taller than the Arkham Knight. Could be possible. Right here, guys, is the Arkham Knight standing next to the Red Hood of the Batman of Three Jokers storyline and the upcoming game Gotham Knight's Red Hood. And I do think that he does pair better with this Red Hood, being in terms of the size of the character itself. Because as we all know, that the Gotham Knight's Red Hood is this big hulking tank of a man, and these two are just kind of two leaner and ready to go individuals over here. And of course, as we can see here, the Marvel Legends Deadpool next to the Arkham Knight. And pretty straightforward, as we've seen time and time again, Marvel Legends just simply will not stand up with McFarlane Toys. Alrighty, guys, and there you have it. Another action figure review video in the books on my channel for you guys to enjoy. When it comes to my review on this figure, I'm going to give the Arkham Knight a solid 4.5 out of 10. I do think that this one is a very lazy figure given to us from McFarlane Toys. I do think that they could have done so much more and just made so many other alternative decisions. I just feel like it is a very clunky and not very well put together figure. We see it in the very loose ankles, the clunks of random metal shoved on his chest, and of course the lack of paint and the eyes being crooked and not lined up. I just feel like they just slapped it together and just put it on the shelves for us to hopefully enjoy. But for me, it is a no-go. It's going to stay in the collection, but it's not going to be a eye grasper for me. With all that said though, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already, drop a comment down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Later.